understand that message. The video was not on the worksheet. So what was the deal there? Yes.
So like if you look back on our old worksheets, it would be like four numbers in the problem that equal to either zero or something. But this one only had three numbers. So I don't know if we had to like move it around or something like that.
So the worksheet that I gave you Friday was actually supposed to be easier than the assignment we had done before, like the Delta Math assignment. You had to do more moving and stuff. The video I gave you on Friday was supposed to be easier. But it sounds like it caused some confusion, huh? So let's look at.
The video just showed a different, I guess, like a different format of what we were learning than what the worksheet was on. Like it was on the same thing, but I think the worksheet, like when I figured it out, you just had to like subtract or whatever and put it all on the same side and like equal it to zero.
So okay, so all right, this is a basic straightforward one. Let's see. So this one right here, right? This is one of the ones that I did on the video. And this was basically the video. I went over every single problem from the Delta Math assignment. Okay. So in this problem, what would you have to do before you could solve it? Yeah, got to subtract the 6 from both sides, right? I'm looking at that worksheet. So then you'd have to combine your like terms, all right? So we subtracted 6 from both sides, okay? And then we combine like terms. 3 minus 6 is negative 3, okay? So let me see if I can find another problem from the Delta Math. This one we didn't have to move anything. This is another one where we had to move the minus 1 over, so we added 1 to both sides, okay? And then we combine our like terms, right? Then they did start to get more complicated. So on this one, let's see here. Okay, on this problem, we have to subtract the 6x squared. And when we subtract the 6x squared, we have to, again, combine our like terms, but we're combining it with the 31x squared. Yes?
But that has like four different numbers. Like four different numbers. On the worksheet, it only has three.
Okay, tell me which one you're looking at, because I'm not following.
Just all of them on the worksheet only have like three separate numbers. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, all right, I do understand. Let me just copy this problem over and show you. 31x squared minus 40x plus 16. Oops. Thank you. Oops. Okay. So this is what we did in the video from the Delta Math, right? But you had problems like this, 4p squared minus 3 equals 3 minus p. Right? So you're confused because here we have 4 things and here we only have 3 things, right? But look what happens here. On this problem, we know it has to equal 0. So we subtract 6x squared from both sides of the equation, right? When I do that, I end up with 25x squared minus 40x plus 16 equals 0, okay? So that's what we did on Friday's video. Well, look what happens on this one that you had on your worksheet. I need everything to be on one side. So the first thing I'm going to do is add p to both sides. We okay with that? So now I have 4p squared plus p equals 3. Questions on that? Why did we do that? Why did we add p to both sides?
So the 3's alone on the other side.
Because that has to equal 0.
The whole thing has to equal 0, right? This whole thing has to equal 0, and right now it doesn't. So I have to move, think of it this way, you got to move everything to the same side, okay? And in order to move something to the other side, we have to do the opposite. So I've got to move this 3 to the other side, so we do that by taking the opposite. Yeah, we're going to subtract 3. Now there's no like terms, so it's 4p squared plus p minus 3 equals 0. That's the same form as this. The difference is that when I move it, there was nothing to combine. Okay, so when I made the worksheet, I didn't realize it was going to confuse you. I'm sorry that it confused you. But I actually thought, I don't want to make problems that you have to combine like terms, because that was confusing everyone. So it's like once you moved it, that was it. You were done. Like you didn't have to do any more other than the formula, right? So here, when we moved it over, we had to combine our like terms, which sometimes we have to do. On your worksheet, when I moved it over, there was nothing to combine. But I guess that caused confusion. Okay. Yep.
Are you allowed to move the 4 p's?
Yes, good question. So, okay, I need everybody to be sitting up and listening, please. All right? This is not nap time. Okay? So, are you allowed to? Yes. However, I don't want you to. And this is why, right? So, if we move the 4p squared over instead, and we have 0 equals, we'd have 0 equals negative 4p squared minus p plus 3. Just please ignore them, okay? They'll grow up someday. When you do that, notice a couple things, right? First off, everything's on the same side, which is good. Also, notice how I changed the order of stuff. We always want our variables to come first, and we want to go in decreasing order. So this is p squared, and then I just have p, and then the one that's not a variable. They have to be in that order. This will work. The reason I don't want you to do that, is everybody listening? I do not want this to be negative. It's not wrong. However, the next thing we're going to do when we finish with the quadratic formula is we're going to solve the equations by factoring. And this will be very confusing if it's negative when we factor. So I don't want you to create those habits of using that as a negative number, because it's going to create problems later. It is not wrong, but I don't want to do that because it's going to create problems later. Okay, does everybody understand that? So I want the p squared, or the first thing, to be positive. So we'll move everything else over. Okay, let's go ahead and solve this using our quadratic formula. So we're going to get p equals, let's write our formula down. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we get p equals negative b. Well, what's b in this example? What is it? What's the number in front of the p? 1. Yeah, I'm sorry that these come out with all the different variables. It's a whole lot easier if we just think of them as x's. Right? So b is 1, so it's negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is, okay, all over 2 times 4. Everybody understand where we got those numbers? Okay, so we get negative 1 plus or minus The square root of 1 squared is 1. Okay, now we've got a negative 4 and a negative 3. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So we've got 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 3 is 48 over 8. So I have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 49 over 8. Now what?
Square root, take it away.
Okay, so we get negative 1 plus or minus 7 over 8. So P equals negative 1 plus 7 over 8, and P equals negative 1 minus 7 over 8. This gives us 6 over 8, which is 3 over 4. This gives me negative 8 over 8, which is negative 1. There's our two answers. Okay? I'm going to do one more with you. So from your worksheet, let's do, see if I can find one that's different. Okay, let's do this one. We have 3x squared plus 8 equals 10x. Okay, what do we have to make sure of? It equals 0, right? Everything's on one side of the equal sign. So what am I going to move? The 10x. I'm going to move that over. When we move it over, what do we do? Yeah, subtract 10x from both sides. So we have 3x squared minus 10x plus 8. Notice where I put that minus 10x. It's in the middle because I have to have it in the correct order so that I identify A, B, and C correctly. And what does that equal? 10x minus 10x is 0. Okay, I want everybody sitting up, please. Everybody sitting up.
Wait, so you take the 10x from the right side of the equal sign and put it in.
We subtract it from both sides so that we can get it to the other side of the equal sign. So we get everything to the same side. Yes.
Divide here. Question mark.
I don't see it actually. Oh, okay. Yep, we move the 10x over, okay? Okay, so we've got x equals negative b. Well, what's b? Look this way, guys. What's b? Negative 10. So it's negative b, right? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it's negative 10. Now what happens when we have the two negatives? It becomes a positive, yes. So that's positive 10 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So that's negative 10 squared minus 4
3.
times a, which is 3, times c, which is 8.
You don't bring the x with it?
No, just the a, b, and c, just the numbers. All over 2a, so that's 2 times 3. So x equals 10 plus or minus the square root of negative 10 squared is 100. And this is going to be minus, let's see here, I've got 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 8 is 96 over 6. So that equals 10 plus or minus the square root of 4 over 6.
Take square root.
And we take the square root.
2.
X equals 10 plus or minus 2 over 6. So that means I have x equals 10 plus 2 over 6, and x equals 10 minus 2 over 6. So we get 12 over 6, which is 2, or 8 over 6, which is 4/3. And there we go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to give you 15 minutes to work on that worksheet if you had trouble with it. 15 minutes to work on it and upload whatever you have. Yes. No. Okay.
Miss Murray, if we were in here,
It should be in Google Classroom, so you can just work on it from there.
do we still turn it in?
Yeah.
Like not fully completed?
Yeah, just put a little note on there that you were absent.
Wait, we turn it in right now?
Yes.
You don't have to do it?
You guys can do
Yes.
it. You guys must